for an hour, but if there's anything you wanted to say to open up this session, to break the ice
thanks
a
for
little
having
bit.
me. Yeah, why don't we just go to
Okay.
questions? And I can
So the first question I have, when a sports executive looks over a resume,
yeah.
what are they looking for specifically compared to what they see?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think the obvious answer is experience. What have you done, not necessarily in the sports world, but what have you done relevant to the position to which you're applying? I know that our head of admin is very meticulous, and if we're hiring for a sales position, it's nice to see some sales experience. Now that said, if there is no sales experience, then some kind of a passion or history, maybe in sports, maybe not in sports, but we have an inside sales department where it is entry level. So you can have no sales experience at all. However, if you feel like you are interested in or want to learn more about selling, specifically in a sports environment, we have right now 9 people who have come in with no experience, and we have an inside sales manager who does nothing but train you as a salesperson. It's a 8-9 month program, and then depending upon levels of success, those people then hope to get a full-time job as a salesperson on the sales floor. I also think just, depending upon what you are interested in, whether it's marketing or sales or communications or community, I think just a breadth of experience, like what have you done that speaks directly to what you are applying to. But to me, the resume is one thing. I think to me, it's people. It's all about people. And make your resume the best you possibly can. And then if you want to get an interview or if you want to work for the Senators, then you gotta bug us. You gotta tactfully bug us, and you can't give up. These are all cliches, but these are just truths. Like when I moved to Seattle, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job when I moved here. Every other job I'd had in my life, I got because my dad knew somebody or I knew somebody. And I'll give you just a quick background and then you can ask that question. But I was born in New Jersey. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and my dad was the chaplain and did community relations stuff for the Atlanta Braves baseball team. So I grew up in the Braves clubhouse. I knew some of the players. When I was 8, I met a player named Bart Wiley, who ended up playing for 17 years in Major League Baseball. And I went to college. I got a communication degree, and I graduated from college, and I was working at a golf course, and I was a waiter, and I played a pile of golf and made a little bit of money. And then Bart Wiley had throat cancer, and he came back from throat cancer. The game he came back from the Dodgers, he scored the game-winning run. And there was all this like, oh wow, this is such a cool story. So he had all these book and movie offers on his life. And he called me and said, I know you, I know your family, I need some help like running my life. I'm getting inundated with stuff. So can you come help me? Because I know you have a communication degree and I know you. So I became his publicist, and we did a book, we did a work on a movie. I worked with him for 4 years, and it was a fantastic experience. But that wouldn't have happened had I not had. And then I got done with that, he retired, and then there was a NASCAR driver. I was in Charlotte at the time, and my dad somehow knew this NASCAR driver. And he had 5 Major League Baseball players as his business partners, and they all wanted to get more involved with the team. So this driver was having lunch with my dad. My dad said, well, Bart's looking for something different to do, and he just came out of the baseball world. So boom, I got a job at this NASCAR team. I ran the business of I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know NASCAR, I didn't like NASCAR, but I only got hired because of the baseball thing.
So you know?
Then I did a .com thing, and then I was ready for a big change, and I moved to Seattle. And again, I didn't know the people I lived with here were in Issaquah, and they were friends of my parents. I never had met them. I flew here. I couldn't get in my car because some company didn't. I rented a car and drove to Issaquah and said, hi, I'm Bart, I actually live here. But the summer before I came here, I flew out once a week and just met with anybody who would talk to me. I would call people living in Charlotte, 3-hour time. I would call after I knew the assistants were probably gone for the day, and I would talk right to the person I wanted to talk to. And I would ask them any question that they would answer, and I would try to set up meetings with them when I flew out. was here for a day and I flew home with a red eye and I met with anybody that I could meet with just to try to network and figure out what I want to do here. And they all said, yeah, if you move here, call us back. Well, one of those people was the general manager of the minor league Sounders, and I thought, minor league soccer sounds awful. I don't ever want to work in that. Like, I don't even really like soccer that much, and it's minor league, and that's not interesting. When I moved here and I had other offers, they were all like 9 to 5 jobs with half hour for lunch, and I never had a real job with real hours, and I like sports, so I went to see the general manager of the Sounders. He said, you know what, I just fired my entire staff today, except for one guy left. And he's like, I remember you, and I'll never forget this. He said, you bugged me, but you never annoyed me. That's exactly what he said. So I kind of said, tactful persistence. If I ever write a book, I'll call it tactful persistence. But his point was, I think, that he remembered me, and I called him consistently, but I never annoyed him. I never bugged him. I never was a nuisance to him. And I think that's why I say this is along with an answer about people. You gotta want it, you gotta go for it. You really can't be scared or have any inhibitions. Like if you want to work for the Mariners, then I called a woman named Rebecca Hale once a week until she finally met with me, and she's still there. And if I see her, I'll say, hey, remember I called you? She said, oh yeah, I remember. You called me, called a lot. Like, you have to be okay with that. And if you want something, if you want to work in sports, then you gotta go work in sports. Like volunteer, go sit outside the admin's office till he or she talks to you. But my point is that I knew a bunch of people to help me get started, and I was really proud of the fact that I got hired by the Sounders and have been here at the Sounders for a while, because I didn't know anybody to help me get a job at the Sounders. I just feel like I really wanted to work in sports in Seattle. I also think just timing is everything. Nothing is by chance, and I think timing is crucial. And if you know people, then you've really worked hard, then in the right time, things are going to work out. I really believe that.
So then just to kind of either, I don't know, go deeper into or kind of give a piece of advice on what you were talking about bugging them. Before we move on to our next question, when you say kind of bug them or being tactically persistent, what is kind of like one piece or just kind of a focal point of advice you would say that helps somebody personally see the difference between annoying and endearing, or that professional way of persisting? Because sometimes it's easy to kind of question ourselves and be like, oh, am I being obnoxious right now? So what would you say is one defining feature to knowing that you are being endearing or professional?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just interpersonal communication thing, right? I think it's an awareness of, am I bothering this person, or is this person sort of engaged in my conversation? I think it's a perception thing mostly. It's a, look, I call it, as many people who actually talked to me, or as many people said, no, thank you, and hung up on me, right? So, I'm not going to keep hounding somebody who obviously does not want to speak to me, and I think we're all clever enough to pick up on some social cues, whether they're on the phone or face to face. Like, if someone doesn't want to engage with you on the phone, you know that.
It's a little bit like courting a business.
Yes, or calling for a date. Back in the day, if people still call for dates. I'm married for a long time now. I mean,
five missed calls. They're just not that into you.
Yes, I think there's interpersonal communication. I think just some social cues of this person is into this or this person is not into this, and if they are, then keep going until they're not. And I also think the onus is on us to say, okay, this person is not as engaged anymore, and I need to be done with this because I don't want to annoy them.
Of course. So moving on to the next question, what do you think the biggest misconception about working in sports could be? And if there's a few.
Yeah, that's just always fun. I mean, it's not always fun. I stood in a bar in Pioneer Square 2 years ago and got sworn at and yelled at by our supporters groups for an hour and a half. And literally, I'm not exaggerating, that was not fun. The hours are long. Like, I work at least 20, 25 weekends a year, which, is not... I love going to our games, and I haven't missed a game except once my daughters were born, but it's a long season. I mean, our players get 6 weeks off, that's it. We played March through December the last 2 years, and if you're like Seahawks, they start in September and they're done in December. And it's nice. They play 8 regular season home games. We play at least 20. We played 24 the last couple of years. And I don't know this, but I bet I could go to Amazon and make a lot more money. I mean, I bet I could go to Microsoft and make some more money. You know, we certainly battle with what is a fair wage to pay entry-level, middle manager, you know, more senior people in a very, very, very expensive city with people like Amazon here. I mean, people leave working for us and go work for Zillow and make $25,000 more. That's a lot of money, especially in Seattle right now, because it is really expensive to live here. It's a cool place to be.
All right. What do you think young professionals should do in order to prepare for a job in sports?
I think it's back to what I said. It's people. I mean, the more people you talk to, the more people you meet. I think maybe before that, having some sense of what it is you want to do. If you want to sell, then there's a million people here. I have Joe Cody's the head of the sales for the Portland Timbers. He's a couple with me. I would go grab Joe into this and say, how can I work for the Portland Timbers if you want to move to Portland? I think some semblance of direction, and then get out of my way, I'm going to do this. And I don't care what happens or who says no or what door gets slammed in my face. Like, I'm going to keep trying and I'm going to keep doing this, and you just can't give up. Like, my wife, I love golf, and we live on a golf course, and I don't have a chance to play golf a whole lot, but if I haven't played in a while, like, I am going to do everything humanly possible to go play golf. Like, I mean, can you watch the girls? Are you going out? Can I, you know, I'm going to do whatever I can, fair or unfair, to rationalize and to go play golf. My wife was an art major, and we have this really cool art room upstairs, and I'm saying to her, if I love art, yes, if you're an art major and you love art so much, but I don't see you like taking the time or changing, or if you loved it that much, why aren't you up in the art room doing art? Like, golf, it's like, I'm gonna go play golf, and I gotta figure this out. I think the same is true here. Like, I'm going to go work for a sports team, and I love marketing. So how many call the head of marketing for the Sounders, and I'll give you my card. You can call me, and I will and go take them to coffee. Ask questions. Be aware of when that person's not listening to you anymore. And then tell me that, so I can say to them, you're not being nice. It's all about relationships and people. And I'll tell you, the folks that come into our office who eventually get a job with us, more often than not, have met with, talked to, or been around, or been with piles and piles of people. And if we don't know them, we know someone who does know them. Because it's all these, you know, oh, it's sport. Well, it is a really small world at the end of the day. I was in Spain speaking at this thing a few weeks ago, and, you know, there's 35 people there I know because of something. But it's a really small world at the end of the day. So the more people you know in that world, the better off you're going to be.
So I think it's going to be fair to say that the saying, it's who you know, rings true. Starting outside of networking, do you think that a master's degree is necessary for a job in sports?
There are, if we have 95 people in our office, I bet you a third of them, maybe more, have master's degrees. I do not, but when I first got a job, it wasn't as, you know, prevalent as it is now. I would say this, in looking at resumes and talking to our head of admin, we don't hire the master's degree person over the person without a master's degree if they're equal footing, then maybe the master's degree tips it. But look, frankly, when I sit down and interview people, I have maybe, and just purposely so, maybe perused their resume once, but I haven't like studied it. So I just like to have a conversation with you. I don't know if you have a master's degree or not. To me, it's what's our conversation like, and can you do this job, and can you come in and work hard for us and have fun? So in my mind, the master's degree is helpful, not necessary.
It looks good.
It looks good.
What are top qualities for any young professional that they should possess in order to be working in sports full-time?
I think any job, it's communication, it's interpersonal skills, it's dedication, it's passion, it's exuberance, it's lightheartedness. We work a lot of hours and see a lot of the same people, a lot of the same days. We better have fun. We better enjoy each other. We don't have to have dinner with everybody after, but while I'm there working with everybody, we try to make it fun. I try to get up and just walk around the office a couple times a day just to talk to people. his fiance was really desperate for a job and thought she had two and didn't get them, and we called some people we knew, and now she has 3 more interviews. Like, we want to help each other. Because it's, our owner says we're a family, and that's maybe a cliche, but you know what? And we are. Like, we have to care for one another, and have to get along because we work a lot together.
Just kind of going off that, talking about those top qualities, what would you say are some more of like the underrated or overlooked yet crucial qualities that somebody may not realize is so key until they're in the field and they might find themselves like, oh my goodness, how did I miss this? What do you think is one of those that they might want to prepare better for before they step in?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think a balance of like calmness and exuberance. I mean, those are almost opposites. But I think, there are a lot of things. There are some things that aren't going to go the way you thought they were going to go, and you have to be rational and calm within those situations. I think there have been instances where things have not gone well, and people have reacted poorly to those situations, meaning there's maybe a quick decision made that is the wrong decision, or not the wise decision, maybe I should say, that doesn't take into account everything that we should take into account. And I think a lot of people in our field want to, let's get this done, and I'm very impatient, so I'm kind of bent that way. But hold on. There are so many more factors at stake here, like the reputation of our owners, the reputation of our franchise, the reputation of Bart, the reputation of all of my colleagues. Like, you can't just do this one thing without thinking holistically about ramifications. What's going to happen? Is this going to be in the paper? What's it going to say about the Sounders organization? What's it going to say specifically about our ownership group? So I think a level of calmness, and then again, I'm not saying you need to run in the office and do a cartwheel and give a high five to everybody, but some level of energy and enthusiasm for what I want to do and how I can help this organization. Not everyone in our office is a type A, high five and going around yelling at people type of thing. My point is, I think there's a balance of those things. There's a rational calmness that takes into account some decisive measures in an interesting situation, and there's a level of energy that I think should be somehow in balance.
How important, when it comes to getting a job in sports, how important is face-to-face networking within the sports industry compared to creating digital relationships online?
Yeah, I'm old school, man. I'm always a face-to-face. I'm online, I'm social, but to me, it's all about just maybe it's just my dad's a public speaker and travels around a lot and has, I got a lot of interpersonal skills from him, right or wrong. But to me, I would rather, to make a meaningful connection, I'm going to call rather than text. And to make a meaningful connection, I'm going to take you to coffee rather than chat to you through iMessage. And to make a meaningful connection, I'm going to follow up with you with some kind of note as opposed to some kind of video. So call that old-fashioned or call that wise. You can probably debate that. But that's what I think.
Yeah, I think there's a line between convenience and professionalism. On the note of digital relationships, and just, we live in a day and age where obviously everybody has social media, just about, and some people even have dual accounts. What advice or cautions or anything just geared towards social media would you say, whether it's somebody coming in and they should watch how their social media is put together or how they should manage their social media going into it? And then alongside that, what's a way people should stay professional with their social media when they are involved in the sports industry?
We just went through sensitivity training and social media training in our office. Not because we have to, because we want to. There were a couple instances where some of our folks in marketing and through their personal social media accounts were saying things that probably a good time to remind people of just be smart. I know that's way oversimplifying things, but our admin will, if if you're a candidate for a job in our office, she will go and dig up things on social media, and she will do a deep dive into anything you do on social media. Now, is that a door slam if there's something interesting? Probably. But this is on the business side and the team side. Like we're looking at players, our scouting network and our coaches will go deep into social media of players, because if there's something on there that derogatory toward women in this case, or anything that relates to harassment or anything unsavory in the past, that's a yellow red flag for us on the player side of things. And same goes on the business side, but we do examine, and we just took our staff through, again, it's way over, but if there's any doubt, don't do it, because our admin's not alone. Anybody you're going to go seek a job with is more than likely to look at what has been done and said on social media. It's kind of the way the world is really right now.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we live in a day and age where if it's online, it's there, it's out there. But say, let's just be hypothetical and say somebody did have a piece of their past that's unsavory. What advice would you give if, say, they still made it through, somebody still wanted to interview them, but that unsavory piece can come up? What is a professional and useful way to either address that or respond to it if it were to come up?
Yeah, I mean, if it's me, I'm making mention of that in advance. I just want to get it out on the table and talk about it. With that comes potential consequences. This is over, but my personality would be, I'm going to tell you about that in advance so that you don't discover it on your own. I don't know. I don't know, frankly, what if our admin has discovered anything that stopped the process before. Probably a better question for her. Me personally, if I have had something that's yellow red flag in my past, I'm probably going to bring that up. I don't know when. Like I'm probably not within the first 5 minutes of my first interview, but at some point I would want to bring that up to get it out of the open and discuss it.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of going back to what you were saying about, if you want it, you go for it. Like with golf, you try to find the time to, you make time. And when you want to be good, I love playing golf. And, any golfer knows, if you hit the ball once, that's great. It's not going to mean anything until you do the same thing 100 more times. So when you like something, you want to be good at it. What would be some directions people could go if they wanted to really increase their skill set, whether that be mentorship or classes? What would be some areas that you think are very important to train up if somebody really wants to excel in this field?
Even
books to read.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, there's a million books out there. And again, if you like marketing, there's a zillion books out there about marketing. So sure, read books. I don't read as much now as I used to, and I see people in the office who are not married and who are single and who don't have 2 girls, and wow, it's nice. They got a chance to read.
And play golf. I
should make more time to read and play golf, but I'm a dad and a husband, so. I don't know the answer to your question. Yes, you should read. Yes, you should study up. I think zeroing in on something, like you going into an interview, or you forget having any interview if you don't exactly know what you want to do. Unless, again, you want, I don't know, but I will maybe do inside sales with Sounders, and I'll give you my card and come talk to our inside sales manager. Aside from that, like, what is your passion? My dad always asked me that growing up. What are you passionate about? And my dad was the athletic director at this college in New Jersey when I was born. So I grew up on a gym or in a field, and I like sports, and I played sports. And maybe that's why I work in sports. I don't know. Maybe I work in sports because my dad knew somebody. I don't know. But I do enjoy sports, and I think it's fun working for a sports team. I love it is a little family. I love that I'm going to go to our game in Orlando on Wednesday. It's like a little traveling show of family, and we're all together, and we lose, we're all sad, and if we win, we're all excited, and I like that. I love that with the Dodgers. We traveled with the Dodgers for 4 years, and I love traveling around. It's like a little small unit, and these folks are amazing athletes, and some regard making millions and millions and millions of dollars, but guess what? Like some of them, they have families and they have kids and they're trying to figure out how to help their daughter with math, and their son is upset because his girlfriend broke up with him, and they failed their drivers. Like it's real life for these people. They just happen to be good at a sport. I love knowing all that. I love that if you come to a Sounders game, you have no idea, nor should you, all the work and energy and effort that went into the production of that game. Like, no one has any idea how much time we're spending on what we should do for Fan Appreciation Night for the National Anthem Singer on October 28th. And you should. But I love knowing all that behind the scenes stuff and all the people that it takes to do what we do. I love all that. And every day is different. There's not one day that's the same, and I could not go to a job that was the same old, same old, same old. I think passion, if you are not, I come over on the boat with a lot of people who hate going to their job every single day. And man, life is too long. Life is too short. You work too long to not enjoy what you're doing. And find your passion. I don't know if this is my passion. Like, I like soccer, but I would say I love golf. Golf is my passion. So I go work in the golf field. I don't know.
You're not trying to go pro?
Maybe the seniors will. I just got my new handicap this morning, so still some work to do. What are you passionate about? Find what you're passionate about, and then let's just get out of my way. I'm going to go do that.
So at the start of the session, you talked about how you've had your hand in different cookie jars, and you've had job changes, and like you mentioned, NASCAR, you didn't have any interest in it, yet there you were, as well as the value of networking. Being in positions like that, there can be stress in it. Every new job, you're taking a risk, you're taking a chance, especially if it means moving locations.
Yep.
What would be kind of a grounding thing to remember when that stress seems too much, or if people lose sight of, like, why am I doing this? Sometimes it can be scary to take a risk if you don't know all the facts. For me, I always want to know everything ahead of time, because then it's a safety net. What's a good way to remember that safety net, it's okay to go even if that safety net isn't there?
Yeah, I would point to, I moved out to Seattle on September 18th of 2001. So I was on my farewell Southeastern tour when 9/11 happened. Maybe some of you weren't even born then. And I shipped my car to Seattle, all my stuff in it, and I bought a plane ticket for September 18th. So it was myself and 10 senior adults on the plane flying out here. So just a week after 9/11, we were all scared to death. I didn't have a job. I didn't know the people I was going to live with. And I remember thinking, what am I, no safety? Well, what am I doing? Like, this is absolutely insane. Yet, I felt this peace and calm that it was the exact right thing I should be doing. And I believe that. And to me, you believe that or you don't. So, when I got here, the people I lived with were fantastic, and they traveled a lot, and I house sat for them, and I was going to be there a month, and I was there 9 months. And I watched their dogs, and I had a free place to stay. I went in to see the Sounders, and the guy fired his entire staff except for one. A week later, that gentleman that hired me, he got fired, as did the head coach. And I was told, I'm sorry, I've just gotten let go. I know you've been here a week. Here's the name and address of the new owner of the team. Drive and see him. And that guy, I met with that day, his name Adrian Hanauer, who's the majority of the Sounders right now. So I've been working with Adrian since 2001. So that's not a coincidence. Like I'm saying, these things, it's timing, and if you have this peace and calm, wherever it is inside you need to feel that peace and calm, I think that's how you mitigate the being scared of not having a safety net. I didn't have a safety net. Like I was going to go work at Starbucks or the library or some golf course if I didn't find a job. And then that was terrifying. But I had done a lot of legwork prior to coming out. I had met a bunch of people without even living here. And my gosh, that guy that hired me, I bugged him, but I did in the morning. And then he got fired. And then I met this other guy and had to convince him that I knew what I was doing. So I think wherever inside you need to feel this peace and calm and this joy that you're doing the right thing, I would tap into that.
So, I don't know. I want to know if there are any messages being sent to, I don't want to say entry level, but newer people joining the field. If there are any messages being sent to them by people who have been in it longer that you disagree with, whether that be coaching, messages or what they need to expect or how they should expect to be treated. Do you disagree with any of those messages that are being sent out right now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, entry-level folks in our office, I mean, we want them to feel like they're a part of the big picture. And we have I would say we've done an okay job. We're getting better at I mean, look, most folks in our office are millennials. And millennials at this point want to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how I fit into this. Now, you could say to them, I don't care about that. You don't have to know, and just go sell tickets, shut up. Or, the other side of the coin is you can say to them, you know what, here's what we're all doing, and here's why we're doing it. Our goal is to, like next year, 2019, we want to retain and grow our season ticket base. That's objective 1. 2, we want to make sure that our corporate partners that give us a lot of money and really great margin on that business are really taken care of and renew at a higher rate. And 3, we want to grow all of our consumption metrics. So across social media and broadcast ratings, and we're going to all those things to grow. So those are our 3 objectives for 2019. So now business plans are being written to achieve all of those objectives. So if you're selling tickets as an entry-level inside salesperson, you know what? My goal is to help grow the season ticket base. That's what I'm doing, and that's why I exist here, and that's what I'm going to get good at. Because you're in the part of the retain and grow. Great, if you're back in the marketing group and working on the website, well, how can I grow consumption metrics on SouthersFC.com? So, it is again, we have not been great at this since we've separated from Seahawks, but we need to be better and have gotten a little better at this is what we're doing. Here's how we're going to achieve these things, and here's how you as individuals within this organization fit into that overall picture. Because if everyone feels bought in, and if everyone feels like I am contributing, whether you're entry-level ticket sales or out selling million-dollar corporate partnerships, I mean, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to, again, run a responsible, sustainable business, be active in our community, and entertain people. I mean, that's not rocket science. We're not splitting the atom here. We're trying to put on a soccer game and grow our revenue.
Absolutely. So with the questions we've gone over and kind of our bunny trails as well, is there anything you want to share that maybe I skipped over or that you may have had going in the back of your mind because of a question?
No, I was asking any questions out here.
So yeah, that's it. So that's what I want to open up to now is any questions you have for him that is totally open to you guys now.
So if you, or like hypothetical, if you have a team that you want to work for, but you can't get into the department that you want to, would you say it's a good idea to try and get in another department and then maybe work your way over?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's not easy to. I want to use my cards if you want to come here. Yes, there have been a lot of people in our office who started the positions they weren't necessarily interested in. But you know what? There again, they came in. They were impressive. They were sure of themselves. They were, honest. And look, yeah, I'll be a customer service person, and I'll pick up the phone and get yelled at by a season ticket member, and I'm going to be really, really good at that because I'm calm and I'm rational and I'm coachable. But my ultimate goal is to get over to marketing. Yeah, we've had people. That's another thing cool is that it's all you come in and do a good job for us. I think the onus is on us to put you where you're going to be best. How you're going to best fit in, and how you can best help the organization, and how you can grow. Like our admin has been fantastic. We would rather hire from within than hire externally, if that's possible, because it's good for morale. It's good for you know our culture. You know how we do things. You know why we do things, and I would rather have you slide over something you're really passionate about and try to go find something new. So absolutely, I would say that.
So, as like a senior in college, when do you recommend starting to reach out to search for jobs since graduation isn't until May, and that's a long time to try and look for a job and have them wait for you? What's a good timeline?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's different for every sport because the fiscal years are different. Like our fiscal is calendar year, but the Seahawks I know go April through March, so it's a little bit different. wonky and that it's based upon season. So if you're, if you're, from the Sounders' perspective, I would say, toward that fourth quarter to the end of the year, that's a good time to reach out to a soccer team, because I know we're planning for the next year at that point. We graduate in May. Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know where you are, but maybe I think it's a sport thing as opposed to a time to think what sports are going to be hiring in summer. We may not, meaning we're probably fully staffed at that point. I'd also say that, look, even though like right now we have, I think, 10 open or new positions available for our organization heading into next year, we're not going to hire all those people by the end of the year. So we're not ever going to be set by January 1. So now that I'm saying this out loud, I think I think the more people you're going to know in advance of when you're going to send out some CV stuff, the better. It's probably having a book of people to phone and send something to between now and then. I challenge you to build that book and build your,
Who remembers the Rolodex like the
to
parents'
build
account
your
number?
contacts on your iPhone. Yeah.
So right now I just got hired full-time at a news station in Reno, Nevada, but I know that I want to go into sports. Should I start, and I'm all about going after what I want in the sports industry and everything like that. I'm trying to find a job in that direction. Should I stay with them, and I'm trying to gain experience with them right now, but still consider looking for jobs in sports?
Yeah, like maybe, I mean, you say a news organization?
Yep,
Okay.
I work for Channel 2.
Cool, in Reno.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I know the Aces are there, because the baseball player I worked for used to be the manager there, after he retired, but maybe it's a thing where you're at Channel 2, but could you go volunteer for the Aces in some community department or game day that piles of people on game day they need, or can you, through your department at the news channel, can you go to, I don't know what else is in Reno sports-wise, but can you go to any other sports teams, clubs, games with your media credential and just get to know people within those sports? I know with Seahawks and Sounders, there were a lot of people in media who would jump from news outlet to team just because as a member of the media, you're going to have access to and influence over different teams other than somebody else. So it's going to give you an easy opportunity to meet people with different sports teams in the media. Sure.
Anybody else? Don't be shy, guys.
You mentioned when you meet people. What are some questions you typically ask? What are you looking for? Response-wise.
Yeah, but when I'm interviewing people, like I'm assuming they can do the job and they've been vetted through others in our organization who are, we have a pretty in-depth interview process. So if you're gonna work for the marketing team, you'll first meet with our head of admin, and then you'll meet with every different department within our marketing group. So if you wanna work in broadcast within our marketing group, you're not just going to meet with the broadcast people, you will, but you also meet with the social people, the digital people, the graphic design people, the head of marketing, and then broadcast. And then I meet with everybody just because I want to. I'm mostly asking about you. I rarely ask, so what's your feel on broadcast? Should it be mostly over the air or traditional, or should it be on stream? I want to get to know you, and I'm asking you questions about where you're from and your family and what you like to do and don't like to do, and I want to figure out what kind of person you are. If I can, I want to figure out if you're passionate about being with us, and I want to figure out if you're going to fit in with what we want people to fit in culturally, and we want people to get along with it. And not that I'm a sociologist, psychologist, one of those, but I mean, look, you can sort of tell if people are going to fit in or not. Maybe that's too cavalier to say, but when I'm interviewing people, I just want to make sure they're going to fit in with our organization. And I'm assuming that the other folks that have talked to you at that point, I'm assuming you can do the job, and you're skilled enough to work in the department that you are applying the job for. I didn't ask questions about yourself. That's not very helpful. I'm sure you want to the other people asking. But when I interview people differently now than I did 10 years ago, because I just want to, it's all about people, I want to figure out who the person is.
On the topic of interviews, would you say that there's either like a common trend or a common mistake you see, especially with younger generations coming into interview?
I would say this past year we've been slightly appalled at the level of arrogance that people have coming in for interviews. Whether that means what they're not wearing or what they are wearing, or just a general cockiness. Like I think there's a really fine line between being confident and being cocky, and I think what we have seen in the last year is there's just a level of cockiness that's very off-putting, and everybody. When we meet after a day of interviews, like it's amazing how, oh my gosh, that person, unbelievable what they said or did or didn't know. It's that is the one thing that I think is universally disliked, is that arrogance before you even step foot into a real position.
You're not that cool.
Yeah, none of us are that cool, right? Like
yeah.
we all have our own stuff, and even when you get there, and if you're the most amazing member of the news media ever, my hope would be that you're not projecting that, right? There's a level of decorum. I'm not a big, I don't like cockiness. That's what I would say. We have seen over the last year, it's like, wow, that is unbelievable. They were that arrogant, saying this all this talking.
I think one signature of decorum can be humility. The idea of work hard, stay humble. I know, and I wouldn't just put this on females, I would just say anybody joining the industry, you can sometimes try to find that line between I'm being humble or I'm being stepped on. What would you say is a good way to know the difference and how to kind of keep your confidence in check while also staying humble in the workplace?
Yeah, another good balancing act, right? Like you want to project authority and, hey, I got this, and no, I can do this, while being humble. I don't know that I know words to say to steer you in balance there. I just think it's very obvious, to the eye test, and just the relational test of when you have fallen one side or the other. I think something to certainly be aware of in an interview process or when you're first getting started is that I'm a listener. Like I have a hard time getting better at listening, but when I would first start something, my advice would be to observe and listen more than to just jump right in. I think there's some level of toward the person that's too comfortable too fast, like the joking around too soon, or throwing out barbs too quickly, or being too loud too soon, or generally assuming more than the other people who've been there for years too quickly. My advice would always be to be there and be. You don't have to be the loudest, noisiest person to get noticed and to know what you're doing. Often the quiet, introspective types are the one who probably or who might contain the most wisdom. If I'm in meetings now, there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of talking, and I'm really trying to listen before I just jump right in with what I think, because there's a lot of smart people that work for our organization. There's a lot of people that know a lot more about what they do than I do. I'm just there to help guide and shape and listen and encourage. I don't have to know all the answers. And I think that's another thing that you be good at what you're doing, but you don't have to know everything. Like be willing to learn and be willing to. I don't know how to do this, and also recognize that other people are going to be better at stuff than you are. That's fine. There's a lot of people smarter than me in the office, and I need to be okay with that. I think that's some level of humility, some level of they're just smarter than me, but how do we all fit together?
Yeah. And just continue this discussion because we have the time. You were talking about making jokes too soon, sending barbs too soon. So in an environment where you see an increasing amount of people being very comfortable with their topic or their content, maybe making crude humor, whether that be too soon or at all, or using rough language in the workplace, using offensive commentary. and I know this all encompasses the when in doubt, don't, and use discernment, but what would be, I don't know, maybe a word of wisdom since you've been in the workplace longer to maybe the, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I guess the consequences that somebody might not realize when they, whether to try to be cool or just because they're not thinking what they're saying. What are some consequences that people might not realize when they decide to cross over that professional line and use humor, even if they've seen somebody else do it?
I mean, termination is a big one. It's a big consequence. I think then just reputation, your reputation within the organization. You know, I go back to the holistic, you mentioned earlier about reputation of the sounders. If somebody says some joke that's overheard in the press box at one of our games, there's media members there, and bim, bam, boom, and social media being what it is, like that can get out like that. And once it's out, and it's not recoverable. So I think, there's the personal consequences that may or may not come with that, and then there's just the reputation of the organization in which you work. And then there's quickly, our owners. Our owners have reputations, and they run the Sounders, and it's a family, and we try to do the best we can in the community. Well, one thing that's said, in a joking type manner, or an atmosphere, that could really damage the reputation of our organization. And again, as we talk to people about social media training, that is it's the when in doubt, don't. And it is the you have to, it's an instant medium. That's why people love it, right? And it's very opinionated. But you have to take one beat and think about the bigger picture.
I like it. So you are a CEO. You are
The COO.
COO.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Having quite a sentence.
There was a typo. I'll talk to Troy about it. But you are a person of title. You're a person who has people answering to you, people looking to you for answers, and a lot of business experience. What would just be some advice you have to a young business person, whether that be organization skills or just a little thing, maybe it's a trick you picked up that works for you, that you would just pass as one business person to an aspiring business person?
Yeah, I think I've said these things. I'll kind of summarize. One, it's you got, go for it. Get to know a pile of people. Make them like you. Like I said earlier, I don't know, it's hard to make everybody. I want everybody to like me. It's impossible to do that. But you've got to make people like you. You have to be likable. You have to be, again, that balance of a calm demeanor and the energy. Like you have to find that balance. I don't know how to other than I can't tell you your personalities how to do that. It's a calmness in the face of some adversity or some tough times, and it's a energy level, exuberance. I'm excited to be here, passionate about what you're trying to do. And it's things like this, coming to things like this. There are a lot of people here who work for a lot of different teams and a lot of different things. Like if you see speaker on someone's thing, they probably said something or they're probably here as a speaker for a reason, and I would grab them and talk to them even if you don't know who they are.
Networking opportunity.
Yeah, it's that, like I said earlier, it's that, maybe that's uncomfortable for you, but man, if you want to do this and there's someone there who can help you do that, well, try to shove that discomfort down somewhere deep for 5 minutes, because it's just 5 minutes, and I promise you, you're going to survive it, and if nothing else, what an amazing learning experience. If it goes horribly wrong in your mind, I would say it probably wasn't received that way from the person that you're communicating. I think we tend to get negative on ourselves. We tend to worry about things we don't need to worry about. And stay like yourself and know that you're good and you know what you're doing and you're smart and you're capable. So believe that and go talk to people who can help you. So
Some good validation. It's important to hear it too. It's important to remind yourself, I am capable. So we have a couple minutes left. If you guys have any other questions you'd like, if you want to know his favorite color, his favorite sports teams.
blue is my favorite.
Purple.
When you guys partnered with the Seahawks, why did you guys split? It's just because the company became too big and it was just.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, there were a couple incidents that happened that, was probably, wedge, driving a wedge in there. But it was mostly that, they were growing, we were growing, you know, no one really knew what we had and what it was going to become. It had grown, you know, decent size at that point, and departments were naturally splitting apart within VMAC, meaning we had our own communication group, we had our own ticketing group, we had our own marketing group, because we were just getting too big and becoming too busy. So it was just a natural separation, and then our ownership group decided, you know what, we're gonna do this on our own. Like, awesome. I mean, couldn't have done it without you, and that is the truth. Like, we could not have done anything that we've done without the Seahawks' help. I say often that the two best things we did is partner with the Seahawks. We left the Seahawks. Those are the two best decisions our organization ever made.
And then you both still have like a bunch of connections between the two organizations.
Yep. I mean, we play in the stadium that is, you know, owned by Paul Allen, and Paul Allen is the owner of the Seahawks, and, you know, obviously owner of the stadium, and we, you know, we're in their building, we're attending their building. He's an owner of our team, so we are connected. Their president just got appointed president a couple weeks ago. A guy named Chuck Arnold was the head of ticketing when we first started the Seahawks. Now he became COO, now he's the president, so we have a great relationship with him. We have a board meeting with them on November 5th, we present our budget, and so they're all up on our grill, and we still have a lot of, we're still talking to them often.
We have time for one more question.
You talked about like golfing and your family. How do you separate your professional from your personal life? And where do you take your work home with you?
I have done less of that since our owner had a child. He's busy with that, so less time to call Bart in the evening. Years ago, I mean, we talked on the phone 4 nights a week, which was not easy. My family implemented the wait until 8 philosophy for me, so when I got home, I waited till 8 o'clock to get back on my phone or do anything else otherwise. You know, we do have interesting hours and weekend stuff, so there's a day game, like my family will come, we all go to Portland, I'll go to Vancouver, we all fly to San Jose for me and my wife and stay there, so I try to bring my ladies with me as much as I can. But work-life balance is I think no matter what you do is tricky. I think it's just priorities and values too, right? Like I want to be a great husband, I want to be a great father, and I need to make time to do those things. And I hope I know the difference between what's important and what's important.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you also for letting me question you
Yeah,
for an
sure.
hour.
No problem.
And you guys, the next session will start at 11:30. It is 11:26 right now.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.